to the Feed You podcast, giving you the real scoop on raising your business to new heights. Expert education, inspiration, and motivation to fuel your purpose, your passion, and your profits. Here's your host, Elisa Connor.
Hello. Welcome to the Feed You podcast. I'm Elisa Connor. I'm your host, and I'm so grateful you're here. This is a podcast where we learn to feed our business and feed ourselves so that we can have a balanced life and a balanced business that generates more profit. Today, we are hopping into a marketing episode with one of my favorite topics. So I bet you all can guess what we're going to talk about. One of my absolute favorite marketing techniques. And I wanted to give you some facts around it. So if you've listened to the podcast at all, or maybe you're brand new, you will quickly determine that I find email marketing to be one of the best strategies that you can have to create revenue in your business and to also generate growth and return on investment for your marketing dollars. So the latest statistic from HubSpot, and I will link to that in the show notes, which you can find at elisaconnor.com/106. They had a great article that talked about all kinds of email marketing statistics. HubSpot is one of the top big marketing companies out there. And so they do a lot of research around all the different techniques that are, or not techniques, but strategies that are in play. And they often do quite a few surveys of people that are deeply involved with marketing. So it's not necessarily businesses, but it's actual marketers. So they pull a lot of data from marketers, which is really important to know because marketers are the people that are in this game every day, day in and day out. And so what they're seeing as trends and what they're seeing for their clients is really valuable information for you to base future decisions on. So why don't we just jump right in? The topic for this podcast is that the 3,800% ROI marketing strategy is indeed email marketing. $38 is the return on investment you can expect for every $1 you spend on on email marketing. There are 3.9 billion daily email users, and 35% of business professionals check email on their mobile device. I don't know about you, but it's probably one of the first things I do, and I'm trying to break the habit of checking email first thing in the morning because it can send you in a tailspin. But I would much rather have you email me than to get a text because I kind of feel like, and this is, I don't know this is a fact, but I would make an educated guess that other people feel this way too, that if you do things via text, they're much more likely to get lost and action is not going to be taken on them versus an email. You can go back through and you can search for the email. You can read the entire thread to see what the conversation was, and it's just a lot easier to function on a business and professional level, which leads me to a really interesting statistic. This one surprised me. 73% of millennials prefer business communication via email, and that totally makes sense because of some of the reasons that I just listed. Millennials specifically use their phone and their personal technology device for personal interaction. That's how, they're Snapchatting each other, they're TikToking, they're doing Instagram, and they will text each other. Like even the next generation, I think it's Gen Z is my kids, they're the same way. But the difference is they don't check email, but also they're not in a professional sense. They do use their email for school, which I guess would be their version of professional. So that's very interesting because if they have, it's kind of more of a more serious, what am I trying to say? A more serious, not app, but you get what I'm saying. It's a more serious approach to, it has a more serious feel to it than versus your cell phone, which could be construed as more frivolous or fun and things like that. So some interesting facts that I just want to run through with you really quick before we dive into, how does this affect you and your business? Segmented email campaigns have a 760% increase in revenue. Let's just stop for a minute and imagine what that looks like. So if your let's just say your monthly revenue was $1,000. If you 760% increase that, can you even imagine that? What is that, $76,000? I think it's actually more than that. I don't know. I can't do that much math. That's really high. So segment and campaigns, and I've talked about email segmenting on this episode or on this show before. So if you've missed that, I'll link to some of the email episodes that I've done, but there's also an opportunity later in the show for you to learn more about segmenting outside of the podcast. So segmenting, let's just talk about what that is really quick. When you create segments through your email service provider, I prefer ConvertKit. If you don't have an email service provider, it's a great place to start. The link for that is, I can also put that in the show notes. It's also on my website under favorite tools. But you have the ability to tag and segment users and subscribers as they come into your email list. And so what does that look like? Well, you have Sally who comes on and say, you have a restaurant, and Sally joins your email list at the restaurant because you're offering a free slice of pie to anybody that signs up for your email address. And so she signs up, and then in that form, you're asking her, like, what's her favorite kind of pie? And you give her the option to choose 1, 2, or 3, and she chooses apple. And so now, every time you have apple pie, or maybe you're going to try a new apple pie recipe, you're going to want to let Sally know that. Well, when you segment her by apple pie in your email service provider, you can then figure out what other apple things she might like and email her about those things, versus blueberry. Like, she doesn't really like blueberry pie, but if you're emailing her about blueberry pie, she's going to get annoyed and she's going to be like, I don't really need these emails anymore. And she's going to unsubscribe, delete, or both. And so the power of segmenting, when it's done right and you take the time to do it, gives you the power of delivering the exact content that subscriber wants to see and getting it in front of them to move them forward in the sales funnel. And so instead of just like blanket marketing or blanket sending people stuff about interest areas they're not really interested in. And so when you can set up segmenting in your email, and this takes a little bit of time, and it can be a little overwhelming, but I beckon you, if you are new to email marketing, or you don't have that many subscribers, the time to start segmenting is now. Because when you have a ton of subscribers and then you're trying to go back and backtrack it makes it a really hard task. It's not that it can't be done. It just takes a lot more time because you've got to go through every subscriber and you've got to figure out a way to ask them, what are they interested in? And then you've got to tag them and blah, 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 blah. So, but the power of segmenting is worth the revenue. And so that's why I'm spending a little bit of time talking about what that segmenting looks like. 760% increase in revenue if you segment your list. So that's powerful. So I wanted to share that with you. 80% of businesses believe email marketing increases customer retention. This is a piece that we don't often talk about. I have a formula that I use with my clients that is attract, connect, and convert. And the last component of that, at the end of setting up that sales funnel, is retention. Because if you're not staying in contact with those people when you're not selling something, and you're not keeping them in the loop, and you're not keeping tabs on your customers and making sure that they're still happy, that's when you lose customers. And it takes twice as much money and twice as much time to go get a new customer than to keep the ones you already have. And I get it. Like, I have been guilty, just like everyone else, in trying to do all of the things in my business, and customer retention is one of the things that usually falls through the cracks. And I have committed to working on that for the next 3 months, just really working on, what my current and previous customers really need and needed, and what they need going forward, and seeing if I can help them in that way. And so don't beat yourself up. You just start from today. If you don't have good customer retention, just work on it for today. But email marketing can be a key component of that. 59% of people surveyed by HubSpot, so these are marketing people, said that marketing emails influence purchase decisions. And so think about the last thing that you bought. So the last thing that I bought, trying to think, I went shopping this weekend, but I was searching for a wrap. They had these kind of cool flannel wraps at a store that I like. And so I went online and looked at them. And of course, I'm already on the mailing list because I shop there more than once. And they sent me a coupon yesterday and today with an extra percentage off because they want me to go purchase that wrap because they knew I was there and I had it in my cart. And then I was just like, I got distracted like most people, but they're doing a really good job with their email campaign because they're like, hey, we saw this was in your cart. You don't want to leave it behind. Here's an extra 15% off if you go buy it. And so I fully can get behind that just for my own purchasing decisions, that if it's followed up by an email, which is not something that Amazon does, even though Amazon will tell you I'm one of their more frequent purchasers, but they don't really have to. But if you have a business that is... I even see this with my dentist, but if you have a business that is providing a service or a product and you follow up with an email, you're more likely to get feedback from those customers, to keep them engaged, to stand out from the additional competitions, all that competition, all of those sorts of things. And so anytime that you can have some sort of follow-up, and I just had another one for my dentist. I finally got into the dentist with all this COVID stuff and got a cleaning. And sure enough, there was like 2 or 3 emails that have come through. Hey, we just want to know about your experience. And I noticed they're using email a lot more for appointment confirmation as well. And so just looking at the examples in your own inbox sometimes can give you ideas of how you could implement it into your own business. So if you're struggling with like, what does that look like? There's a few examples. Is it a follow-up to purchase? Is it a follow-up to check in on customer service? Is it a follow-up to make an additional appointment? What does it look like for your business? So if 59% of people are making a purchasing decision, it is worthwhile for you to spend some time investing in those email sequences based on your business model. So the last statistic I want to share with you is 78% of marketers have seen an increase in email engagement in the last 12 months. And this totally makes sense, which we're going to get into in just a second. But think about that. 78% of people that are doing marketing on a regular basis, that means that their clients is where they're pulling this data, have seen an increase in email engagement, not email sends, not email, just general email, but email engagement, meaning somebody's opening it, somebody's clicking on a link, and they're moving forward in the last year. So why? Why is there such an increase in engagement and an increase in the use of email marketing? Well, several things. One, we've all been stuck at home for at least 6 months. And so email has become the go-to reason to communicate. And some of the things that I mentioned before, when it's in your email, you can search it, you can find it. It's the way to communicate and keep track of the conversation. Social media has become a huge distraction zone based on what's happening in the world. Like, I don't know about you, but I hardly get on social media at all anymore, especially Facebook, because it's just, it seems like it's the land of contention. And I don't want to spend my energy there. And so I feel like, and maybe this happens with every election, but it's just really hitting me this season, is that I kind of want to get on and say, can't we just get along? Like, can't we all just get along? But distractions pop up, whether it's a social post, or it's an ad on social media, or you might be on social media watching a video, and then the next thing you know, the phone rings. And so you're not as tuned in as you are when you're reading an email. And so those distractions stop people from taking action and moving forward. I know specifically for me, if I read an email on my phone, I have to go back and open it on my desktop because it's just not as convenient. Like if I have something that for example, I need to read through on my phone and say like a Google Doc or a Word doc, I'm not going to sit there and make it bigger unless I am in a position where I don't have another option. I'm going to open it on some other type of device that has a bigger screen. And so if that is in a social post, the likelihood, if it's not short and sweet and doesn't make me laugh, I'm probably not going to pay attention to it. And even then, I'm going to pay attention to it for about 5 seconds. And so email gives you a less distracted zone to connect with your clients and to serve them the information that they need to help them move forward. And as I mentioned before, number 2 was the email is a much more serious medium as far as business goes versus like social media. Social media is kind of, I always think, like the cocktail party, versus email is more like you're in the boardroom. And so you have captive attention when you're over there. You have the ability to engage with your audience and have them take specific action if you put that into your email. And you have the power to be in their inbox at any point that you want to. Now, with people, as I mentioned, working at home, email is a mechanism that is being used more and more and more. You have, whether, even if email wasn't a big player in your world before, you now have information coming to you via email for school, for work, for any kind of updates to healthcare and all of those things. The news can come via email. I have mentioned several times before that I don't watch the news because it just stresses me out and I don't want to know. So I subscribe to a daily recap that comes, and it's called the Skim, SKIMM, if you're interested. And I can put the link for that in the show notes as well. But it's basically a synopsis of everything that I need to know that's happening in the news. And so I don't have to sit there and get ingrained in all of the drama and the nitty gritty of what's being broadcast by the news media. I can just get the facts and move on. And then the last reason that this is happening is that the subscriber can actually control which content they want to see and don't want to see in a very easy way. They can opt in to see the things that they want to see. They can opt out of things that no longer apply. They can file away emails for a later time when they're ready to manage that or deal with it. And so a lot of times I'll do that. I'll get on a list and, for example, I'll get on a business leadership list, and I'll love the articles, but I don't have time to implement those, or it's something that needs to be implemented regularly. And so I'll just file those away and I'll save them. And then as I get ready to go back to them, I know right where they are in my email. I can dive in and I can deal with them as I want. You also have the opportunity to delete things that don't apply. You might love somebody's emails, but then they're going to, they have the every so often email that doesn't really apply to your business. And so you're just like, yeah, I don't really need that one. And last but not least, email is searchable, and that makes it really nice. I've yet to figure out how to search texts on my phone and have it work. So you can find a text by a person, but actually searching out the text has not been perfected. So there are some hiccups that come along with all of this new email engagement, and I just wanted to cover those really quick. Obviously, there's a lot more competition in the inbox. So what that means to you is you have to be much more creative in getting your headlines and getting the attention of your subscriber to not only open your email, but to read it and then click on the link to do the next action in your sales funnel. And I'm not saying that's easy, but it's definitely doable if you're aware of it. But if you just send your emails out willy-nilly and you don't send them very frequently, and they're going to get ignored. And so there's definitely some things you can do to boost the engagement in your inbox. And so you want to think about that when you're writing those emails. And with the increased number of emails, there's going to be more spam. It's not always a good feeling to get email in your inbox especially from people you don't know. I probably have had 3 or 4 realtors specifically add me to their email list without me asking, and now they're sending me listings, and I'm like, I never asked to be on your email list, so I immediately unsubscribe. And you just want to be sure that if you're showing up in somebody's inbox, it's because they requested you to be there. It is more important than ever to be sure that that's the case. And so, for example, we're not doing a lot of trade shows right now, but there's a lot of online events. And if you're participating in an online event and you're gathering email addresses from the coordinator, you do not just want to add those people to your list. You want to reach out to them, give them the opportunity to self-select to be on your email list, and then begin to build the relationship. Because there is more spam, you're going to have to spend some additional effort and work a little harder to build that relationship, and not just, show up with like today's recipe, or, this month's cookie recipe is pumpkin snickerdoodles. Well, yeah, you and like 20 other realtors have that same recipe that you just got from one of the copycat marketing groups that put together realtor recipes to send out. And so now I've gotten it from 4 different realtors because you just took all of their marketing stuff and plugged your business into it. And consumers are smarter than that. They want customized content. They want you to know who they are and what they want, and they want you to deliver it. So it takes a little bit more effort and a little bit more time, but it is well worth the payout. The other hiccup is that people are really protective of their email address. It's the second most protective item next to a social security number. That's a little bit, out there. But yeah, people are sick of being spammed. They're sick of being added to email lists without their permission. And they're sick of being, I don't know how to put this. They're sick of people monopolizing their inbox. And so a perfect example of this was I have, and I'm going to actually resubscribe because it's going to give me so much material to work with later. But I signed up, not even like I sent a contact form into one of the political candidates with some recommendations. I'm like, here's just some ideas that you might think about. I did not ask to be on their email list. In fact, I purposely did not check the box. And within one day, I have received 5 emails asking me for campaign donations, which is why I unsubscribed, because I was like, this is ridiculous. Now, on top of that, I am getting 3 to 7 phone calls a day on my cell phone. Don't ask me how they found me, how they found my cell phone, but they did. And they are all political calls. And so there is no better way to annoy the people that you want to have their attention than to overmarket to them, especially when they never asked to be marketed to. And so getting somebody's email address is a luxury. And if you look at it that way and you treat it that way, and you treat it as the value that it has, you will succeed every single time. Another hiccup is that you may not know what to send every week. You may not know how to support your people. But there's many episodes in this podcast that will give you lots of ideas. But the simple answer is that as long as you're always focusing on the solution that they're looking for in your emails, and in the content that you're creating, you will succeed. You will move forward. You'll be able to enhance their lives, and they will be looking forward to your email versus the spam a lot that just happened. And then the last hiccup that I came up with was when you're inconsistent with your email marketing. And so I have talked about this before. I've had it happen 3 or 4 times in the last couple of weeks from people that I never hear from, never get an email. Next thing I know, they're emailing me saying, hey, I'm doing this and I need you to help me, or I'm selling this and I want you to buy it. And I'm like, it's like the neighbor that you wave at them, they never wave back. You talk to them and they never call you. It's like a one-sided relationship, and nobody wants to be in a one-sided relationship. So if you're going to do email marketing, and obviously there's some stats that are really high, what am I trying to say? There's really a high oh my gosh, my words are not coming to me. there's definitely some big reasons, especially for return on investment, for you to invest time and energy into email marketing, but there is a commitment there. And so I want to make you aware that email marketing isn't just like a flash in the pan. There's definitely some benefits to it, especially when it comes to revenue and engaging your audience. But you also have to be aware of some of the things that we've talked about when creating your email. So there you have it. The 3,800% ROI marketing strategy is email marketing. For every dollar you spend, you can expect to get $38 for every dollar. And I mentioned a lot of different resources in here. I will have those linked in the show notes at elisaconnor.com/106. And then I also mentioned that there was an opportunity for you to learn more about segmenting. And so I have an upcoming live training. You guys are the first ones to hear about it. It will be, in fact, the registration page is going up right after I record this. So when this goes live, it'll be available. But the upcoming training is going to be all about how to quit writing shitty emails. And it's the 5 things that you need to avoid when writing sales emails. It's going to be a great training. And one of those things that we're going to talk about is segmenting and how to segment your list effectively and do that really quickly and right up front with it being seamless for your subscriber. So that's what I have for you today. Episode 106. Thank you so much for tuning in. If you're interested in registering for that training, I guess I should tell you that too. elisaconnor.com/email training. And you can register for that live training. It's coming up on October 15th. There will be 2 sessions that day. One will be at 9 a.m. Pacific, 10 a.m. Mountain, and one will be at 12 p.m. Pacific, 1 p.m. Mountain. And all the information, you can find that at elisaconnor.com/email training. So I will see you all next week. Thanks so much for tuning in. If you found this episode useful, I would love for you to share it with a friend and hit subscribe in iTunes so you get every episode. And if it interests your fancy, I would love for you to go leave me a positive review on iTunes. So until next week, have a wonderful week. Stay healthy, stay safe, and I will see you on the flip side. Take care. If you're like most people, you opened up your email this morning and you probably were greeted with a new 72 or more emails that came in overnight. When are these people emailing you? The reality is you look through the emails and you probably start to delete them before you even look at opening them. What if that email was yours? What if you were trying so hard to get in front of your people and all they did was hit swipe to the left to delete your email? Well, my friend, the reality is, if that's happening to you, it's because you're sending emails. And nobody wants to receive a email, which is why I've created my brand new training, Stop Sending Emails, the 5 things to avoid when writing your sales emails. Email is a powerful tool. It offers the highest return on investment of any other marketing strategy out there. But if you're not doing it right, your emails are not getting opened, people are not reading them, and they're not clicking on the link, which stops your sales funnel at a dead halt. There's no way to sell to someone if they're not opening, reading, and clicking on the link. So in this training, I'm going to give you the 5 things that you can do to get more emails read, get more emails opened, and to get people to the next step of your sales funnel. To join me, go to elisaconnor.com/email training. Sign up today. The training is coming up soon and you don't want to miss it. Again, if you're ready to stop sending emails and get right emails that people actually want to open, want to read, and look forward to, join me at the training, elisaconnor.com/email training.